right. Hello. Good evening. On behalf of the Newark Public Library, welcome. On behalf of the Newark Public Library, welcome. I am Tom Ankner, Director of the Charles F. Cummings, New Jersey Information Center here at the library. Oh, it is on now? Okay. Tonight we are here for an opening and a premiere. Opening is the exhibit in the gallery just outside, Serving a Community, Kenney Memorial Hospital. Premiering is a film by Vanessa Blake of Summer Shower Productions about Dr. John A. Kenney, the founder of the hospital. Neither of these projects would have been possible without the work of Newark Landmarks and New Salem Baptist Church. At Newark Landmarks, Elizabeth Del Tufo and Michelle Butchko have worked tirelessly to get funding and recognition for the effort to commemorate the history of the building. You'll be hearing from Liz later. And I have to cut the next sentence. I said, unfortunately, Michelle was unable to be here tonight, but she actually is here tonight. And she showed up. Okay, and at New Salem, Reverend John K. White heads the effort to create a museum to the hospital in the church's basement. He has been aided by Phil Glenn. Both Reverend White and Phil are here tonight, and we're very happy to see them. I also want to acknowledge Altric Kenney, the Essex County surrogate and a descendant of Dr. Kenney, who is here tonight. I think he had to step out though, because it was a child issue. He will be back in a minute. And he says his grandfather was a cousin of Dr. Kenney's. That's how they're related. Just a little background. Kenney Memorial Hospital was founded in 1927 after Dr. Kenney realized that there was a need for a hospital in Newark to serve African Americans. It was located on West Kinney Street in what was then the 3rd Ward of Newark, the heart of the city's growing African American population. Before it opened, there was no hospital in Newark where African American medical personnel could train. And while some of the hospitals in the city treated Black patients, those patients were kept in segregated wards and could not be seen by Black doctors. Excuse me. The private Kenney Memorial later became Community Hospital and served the 3rd Ward and Newark's Black residents for more than 20 years before closing in 1953. The building still stands today. It is now the home of New Salem Baptist Church. Tonight, you will hear from Reverend John K. White, who has been pastor at New Salem Baptist for 20 years. New Salem is eager to commemorate the building's important past. A building that once served the medical needs of a community now serves its spiritual needs. Reverend White.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. We greet you in a humble spirit of the legacy of Dr. Kenney. Before I give my short presentation, I want you to know that we could not be here if it was not for many who worked hard and tirelessly. Our Dr. Kenney Friends of Dr. Kenney Memorial Executive Board, which was formed prior to the pandemic, and through the pandemic we struggled. We're still in the process of becoming an official board. We are certified as a 501c3. We have our financial situations in place. Mr. Philip Glenn, please stand. He's our Chief Executive Officer and an accountant. He's also our facilities manager. And our official board consists of an architect, Mr. David Buckman. David, would you stand? Ms. Liz Del Tufo from Landmarks, would you stand? Would you stand? And then Altric Kenney, he's probably with his kids knowing him, but his wife is here and his brother's here, and there he is. Altric is also on our official board. There will be others, but Dr. Robert White, who's in Silver Springs, Maryland, is on our official board. and Dr. Sybil Moses, who is in Silver Springs, Maryland as well, is on our board. And that is the official board. And there are others that still work with us, like Michelle. We want to move forward with a positive attitude because Dr. Kenney had a positive attitude. Coming out of a time when the color of one's skin played a factor in life, it had to be tremendous. And though Tom has done an excellent job and the library has done an excellent job, there are two pictures that are missing that are dear to me. As I sit in the actual surgical suite, which is my office, those two pictures I get a chance to look at every week. One is with Dr. Kenney and Booker T. Washington breaking ground at the Tuskegee Hospital in Tuskegee. But the other one is on that same ground was Dr. Kenney holding a shotgun. You would think that why would someone like that? But it took a man with courage to do what he had to do, especially in a time when the Ku Klux Klan was trying to kill him and his family, when segregation was at its highest during that time. And it seems like we're falling back in that time in this collapsing culture where many do not understand when right seems to be wrong and wrong it seems to be right. But Dr. Kenney says, despise not small beginnings. And though we are a small ministry here in Newark, we love our church. It is written on Beacon Hill by Linda Kenney that one John built the building. Another John, Dr. Toller, bought the building. And this John believes in the building. I believe that it's necessary that we cooperate and work collaboratively in our community for a better quality of life for all people, because all lives do matter. And so this exhibit is just the very beginning. It is the genesis of that which will never be seen by us, for when we are long gone, the three little Kenneys, Alteric's children, will still carry on this legacy. Over the last 3 to 4 years, under the leadership of Phil Glenn and Miss Terry Hurd and many others, some of our deacons are here, Deacon Linda Daniels, our administrator, Sister Emily Brown, my niece Valerie, and of course, my wife Laura is here, and some others. We've invested over $200,000 of our own money. We have not asked for any grants from outside. We have not gone to the mayor for any money. We've done it by the faith of God. And I must say the work is most excellent. We invite you to come by. We invite you to support. We invite you to give towards this effort. We are in hopes that our room downstairs will become a small museum / community room where groups can come. Ms. Del Tufo has come many times with buses, and we've presented our presentation of our video that we had made through the Schonberg out of Harlem, New York. 2004 was the day that David Etheridge, along with Ms. Del Tufo, we became nationally registered by Congress. And it was one of the greatest days of my life. You see, I was a rescue swimmer in the United States Coast Guard, so I worked in medical facilities. And then to find myself now the pastor of a medical facility, or what used to be a medical facility, touches me deeply in my heart. And so I'm proud of my team. I believe in a team concept. I believe in folk having the right spirit. I believe in them having the spirit of Dr. Kenney, that we serve this present age. And I hope that you will continue to support us. I hope that you will come by and visit us. I hope that you will donate to us. We do have a brochure that is out. You can donate to Give the Fly. And on the Give the Fly, it says other, just write in the connotation there, Kenney Memorial Building Fund. And we will make sure that that money is allocated. And then we are 501c tax exempt, and we'll make sure you get that information back. Again, Tom, the Newark Library, Mayor Baraka, and our chief historian, Mr. Junius Williams, who's not here, we want to thank you for allowing us to be a part of this exhibit. And we look forward to continue to working with each and every one of you. And may God bless you.
Okay, well, thank you, Reverend White. And now for the premiere of a short film about Dr. Kenney and his hospital. Vanessa Blake of Summer Shower Productions is the filmmaker behind this project. She will now come up to introduce the film. Vanessa?
Thanks, Tom. Good evening, everyone. So, like many of you, I had never heard about Dr. Kenney. When this project came to me and I started researching him, I quickly began to understand that this was a story that needed to be told. I am honored to have had this opportunity to demonstrate Dr. Kenney's vision, his passion, and sacrifices in this short film. My hope is that after you watch it, you too will understand what a great man he was, and more importantly, what a profound legacy he left for all of us. I present Dr. Kenney, A Life Well Lived.
Dr. John A. Kenney, the son of former slaves, was born on June 11, 1874, in Albemarle County, Virginia. After a young life of hard work in the rural South, he entered Hampton Institute at age 19 and graduated as its valedictorian in 1897. His education continued at the Leonard Medical School at Shaw University in North Carolina, one of the first medical schools in the country to educate Negro doctors, where he earned his medical degree. From 1902 to 1924, Dr. Kenney was the resident physician at Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, where he personally attended to Booker T. Washington, Tuskegee's founder and president, and agrarian scientist George Washington Carver. Dr. Kenney also became the medical doctor and chief surgeon of the John A. Andrew Memorial Hospital on the Tuskegee campus. Dr. Kenney's years at Tuskegee proved him to be an extremely important figure in Black medicine and a tireless advocate for both Black patients and medical professionals. He authored the groundbreaking book, The Negro in Medicine, in 1912, and was a founder, contributor, and editor of the Journal of the National Medical Association, still in publication. In 1923, a conflict arose about the staffing of the new Veterans Hospital for African American soldiers being built on the Tuskegee campus on land largely donated by the Institute. While President Warren G. Harding gave assurances that the hospital would be staffed by African Americans, other politicians and interested parties disagreed, believing that there were too few competent Black professionals to manage the hospital, and therefore white personnel were preferable. Dr. Kenney joined with the Tuskegee Institute administration, the National Medical Association, and the NAACP to oppose this staffing decision. At a raucous meeting at the Institute, Dr. Kenney was asked by a person opposed to the non-white staffing if he favored total Negro personnel working in the hospital. Dr. Robert White recalls Dr. Kenney's response.
The principle at issue was whether Black doctors and nurses were competent and able to handle any and all the affairs in connection with maintaining a hospital for Black patients. Members of the white community threatened that, quote, "We'll wade through blood up to our knees before we'll permit it." To them, the issue was twofold. Blacks were not qualified to run the hospital, and Blacks shall not run the hospital. In response, Dr. Kenney slowly rose from his seat at the table, raised his clenched fist high in the air, and then slammed his fist on the table. And he said to them, quote, "Emphatically I do. Anything else would make me a traitor and a liar." These potent and emphatic words made Dr. Kenney a marked man for cross burning on his lawn, harassment if he did not retract those potent and emphatic words in writing, and lynching. Dr. Kenney and everyone else in Tuskegee knew about lynching because Tuskegee Institute was the repository of all racial lynchings in the United States.
You've got to get out of there. The Klan is on its way to torch your home. Get out! Get out!
After this harrowing phone call, Dr. Kenney gathered his wife and 4 children in the dead of night and fled the state. In 1924, after a search for the best city in which to begin a practice, Dr. Kenney and his family arrived at the 134 West Kenney Street home in Newark, New Jersey's 3rd Ward that his wife Frida had purchased along with an adjacent empty lot on their behalf. Although he was a skilled physician and surgeon, Dr. Kenney was only grudgingly allowed privileges at Community Hospital in Montclair, New Jersey, at the Newark Postgraduate Hospital, and just once at Presbyterian Hospital, all of them white-owned medical facilities. After 2 years, it was clear to Dr. Kenney that there was no place for disenfranchised Black people to be treated or for Black doctors and nurses to train and practice. So he decided he must open a hospital. He wrote this in his diary.
I shall build a hospital on that lot.
The lot Dr. Kenney spoke about was the property his astute wife had purchased 2 years earlier. After an exhausting search for construction funding, initially from his colleagues, Dr. Kenney finally found a partner in Mr. Bloom, president of the Broad and Market Bank, who believed that what Dr. Kenney proposed was a good and necessary thing. In February of 1927, ground was broken for the Kenney Memorial Hospital, dedicated to Dr. Kenney's parents. On September 18, 1927, the 30-bed private hospital that welcomed Negro doctors would provide much-needed medical assistance to an underserved community opened. It immediately won the support of the community it served. However, during the Great Depression of the 1930s, the hospital suffered financial setbacks that prompted Dr. Kenney to begin thinking about a way to keep the hospital functioning. After much thought, he concluded that the best course of action was to let the hospital become a community-owned property, which it did. On January 1st, 1935, after 8 years of serving the Hill, as the neighborhood was called, Kenney Memorial became the Booker T. Washington Community Hospital. Dr. Kenney served as the medical director for the community hospital until 1939, when he returned to Tuskegee to assume his previous position as medical director of the John A. Andrew Hospital. He returned to New Jersey in 1944 to resume his medical practice.
1995, I had opportunity to be going through the medical literature, particularly the Journal of the National Medical Association, and I kept seeing this name, Dr. John A. Kenney. I went to school in Newark. I went to medical school in Newark. I did my internship in Newark, and I had never heard of a hospital on West Kenney Street. As most Black doctors, they were shut out of these hospitals. Now, come to 1929, Kenney Memorial is in existence, and when the National Medical Association came to Newark, the doors of Kenney Memorial were held open for them to do their demonstration operations and have clinics and discussions, and there were at least 2 other hospitals that opened their doors to Black physicians. And I believe that Dr. Kenney, since he had been in Newark since 1924, had an influence in Black doctors from the national organization having this kind of access.
On January 8, 1950, he suffered a stroke and died at his home in Montclair, New Jersey. He was predeceased by his wife Frida in 1949. The Kenney Memorial Hospital served the people of Newark, New Jersey as a private hospital for more than 7 years. It cared for 4,543 hospital patients, treated 594 free clinic patients, conducted 1,109 surgical operations, and experienced only 19 deaths. This was remarkable given the fact that white hospitals often shipped critically ill patients to the Kenney Memorial Hospital so that those patients' deaths would would not factor into their morbidity rates. From the epilogue of Beacon on the Hill by Linda Kenney. 76 physicians, both black and white, were employed and most trained at Kenney Memorial between 1927 and 1934. Employees included 4 graduate resident physicians, 9 secretary stenographers, 47 graduate nurses, and 78 non-professional aides.
When Dr. John Kenney left this life, based on his accomplishments, the cup was now half full. For his time on this earth, he made major contributions to improve the health of African Americans and to advance African American health professionals. And it's important to realize that he gave his hospital away to the African American community as a Christmas gift so that they could continue to have access to good health care.
The original hospital building on West Kenney Street is now the home of the New Salem Baptist Church, great stewards of the Kenney legacy and part of the Friends of Dr. John A. Kenney nonprofit established in 2019. The property was nominated by the Newark Preservation and Landmarks Committee for official landmark recognition and was entered onto the New Jersey Register of Historic Places on January 1st, 2004, and on the National Register on March 22nd, 2004. Dr. Kenney and Frida Armstrong Kenney are both buried at Fairmount Cemetery in Newark, the city where the good doctor's legacy lives on.
Every generation should make and leave some contribution. It is only by that means that we grow.
Dr. John A. Kenney, the son of former slaves, born on June 11th, 1874. Through years of hard work, education, and threats he would endure, started a black-owned hospital in the great city of Newark. 1927, oh, we celebrate him today.
Okay, that's good. Well, that was terrific. Thank you very much, Vanessa. Can we have another round of applause for the film? So now I just want to talk a little bit about the exhibit that's in the gallery, which I curated. Most of the images in the exhibit come from the collection of the New Jersey Room, which is just upstairs. The text, which I wrote, became immeasurably better after being edited by my colleague, Greg Guderian. Thank you, Greg. Greg's in the back of the room. If you have not yet had a chance to visit the exhibit, please try to do so tonight. But if you don't have a chance, it will continue to hang in the gallery until February. And now, to complete our evening, it is my pleasure to introduce the grande dame of historic preservation in Newark, Elizabeth Del Tufo. Liz is the president of Newark Landmarks, the nonprofit that seeks landmark designation for historic buildings in the city. She has been active in the historic preservation community in Newark for 50 years, right? Yeah. Please welcome Elizabeth Del Tufo.
Thank you, Tom. Well, I'd like to have another round of applause. Vanessa, please stand. Antoinette, the narrator. Come on, Antoinette. Newark's own Antoinette Montague. You did it, Vanessa. I'd like to thank New Salem Baptist Church for recognizing that they worship in not a building, but they worship in a legacy. And when John and I met at the dedication of the building on the National and State Register of Historic Places, we both agreed that this building needed more than just a plaque on the exterior of the building. And Reverend White, David Phil Glenn, we have dedicated ourselves to that dream ever since. The building that we chose, the room that we chose was the laboratory in the basement of the church. But you had a lot of problems with that room. For one thing, the exterior, the wall, the corridor outside would get flooded. And over the past couple of years, as Reverend White said, money has been spent. Volunteers under the direction of Phil Glenn have put that room to a position now that we can look forward to creating a museum in this room. And tonight was the first step toward creating that museum. What we hope is to have that exhibit plus other artifacts and of course this wonderful video be up and open to the public for generations to come so that people can look at this extraordinary man. Dr. Kenney was not just satisfied that Blacks could go to a white hospital and get taken care of. Dr. Kenney believed that Blacks should be able to be taken care of by Black doctors, Black nurses. He was so far ahead of his time, and he was so brave to be ahead of his time. And we in Newark must honor that great civil rights hero. I'd like to thank a couple of other people. I don't think she's here tonight, but Irene Cooper Bash from Victoria Foundation gave us our first grant, which enabled us to start the film. Rob and Rosemary Steinbaum, please stand. They are the administrators. They are the administrators of the Wiener Family Fund. And Rob and Rosemary, through their generosity in the Wiener Family Fund, have really given us breathing room that we know that we can now continue this project. Also today, thanks to Michelle Butchko, we received a grant from Essex County. So we're getting there. We do see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'd like all the friends of John Kenney to stand. I know we have some friends here, Dr. White, Bill, I think Pam Morgan was here, and David. And I would also like the trustees of the Newark Landmarks Committee to stand. Anchor, Tom Allroots, Tony Schumann, Michelle Butchko, Tom Ankner, and Matt Gosser is running around here taking photographs. I know Vanessa would agree with me that I would be remiss if I didn't thank Michelle Butchko for her really extra efforts on our behalf. The monies that we have raised have all come through Michelle's grant writing process. And I also want to thank Rob Steinbaum for one other thing that he did. Rob introduced me to the Rutgers Law School, and volunteer students at Rutgers Law School got the 501c3 for us pro bono. So thank you again, Rob. And of course, we have the Newark Public Library. We are so lucky in Newark to have a community resource like this. And Tom Ankner, we will take that exhibit with Vanessa's film, and it will live forever, I hope, in New Salem Baptist Church. Thank you all very much. Thank you for coming. So look at the exhibit. There's a couple of boxes left. Meet everybody, okay?
Put some boxes aside for you. Bob. Do you want to take them? Yeah, do you want to hold it? Yeah.
Liz, can you hold the picture?
We wanted to take a group photo at some
Yes,
point?
please.
Yeah,
Would
sure.
you?
Yeah.
Vanessa?
Would you like to do it here or by the exhibit? This is a more impressive space.
Yeah, small space.
I think so, but let me have you guys facing this way because the background is better than right here.
Oh, before we split up and go our different ways, I was asked to just say one more thing. I wanted to let people know or remind them that beginning November 1st, we will be, well, actually, there are two things I want to remind you of. On October 31st, Sunday, October 31st, Newark Landmarks will be sponsoring a trick or treat event, trick or treat at Mount Pleasant Cemetery, in which there will be people dressed up as historical figures that are buried there. There will be candy for the kids and little enactments. People will be able to walk around. And that is on Sunday, October 31st. The other thing I was asked to mention is that beginning November 1st, the library will begin. If you come to events at the library beginning November 1st, we have to get proof of vaccination if you are coming to any events. So if you come to an event at the library, you have to show your picture ID and a proof of vaccination in some way. I was just asked to remind people that or to tell people about that. Okay. Okay.
You want to get this a little bit more over. All right. Good. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Let me get a couple more. Okay, one more. Good.
Better than mine. I can cut off. You know, got better than mine. Yeah. I cut them off at the end.
I send it to your WhatsApp. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, let me get that because that one actually my lens wasn't really clean, so yeah, it wasn't clean. It didn't come out sharp enough.
Yeah, mine is not sharp too.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll send over these. Then. Send over the rest of it.